HD Production Live, here with ReRecording mixer Greg Russell, who's been nominated 15 times now. How does it feel to be nominated for the 15th time?
Well, it's extraordinary. It's always a privilege and an honor to be recognized by your peers. The 15th is overwhelming, to be honest with you. It's been an incredible, this marks from my first, which was 22 years ago, for a Ridley Scott film, Black Rain, 1989. And that was unbelievable. Truly was, having the first one. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really understand it. And so when it happened then, it was just a whirlwind of emotions that I'd never felt before. Obviously, this time around, I've experienced this many times. I actually had someone, I described what it would be like to get this kind of a call, and this call is a very special call to get. It used to be from our Board of Governors, who would be there present for the announcement, would call on the phone. Your phone would ring 5:30, 5:45, or right thereabouts when the press release was done. And hearing that phone ring, and granted, at the beginning I didn't really know, so I didn't anticipate it. Now, if you have a horse in the race or something that you think might have a shot, it's very hard to go to sleep that night. So, but inevitably, when it does happen, it's unreal. This time around, I didn't get a phone call. I couldn't get online myself because it's very congested. I couldn't see anything, and then sure enough, my phone went bling. And it was someone giving me a text message, and it just said, "Congratulations." And I knew. And the feeling when you know is just extraordinary. It's unbelievable.
Do you dance around?
I do dance around. I dance around, I yell and scream. It's really early in the morning. My wife always says, "Don't wake up, Riley. Contain yourself." And the weird part this time around is that I had set my alarm to wake up at 5:15. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning because that's what you do. You can't really sleep that well. And so I woke up, I said, gotta get back to sleep. I've got to get back to sleep. So I did. When my alarm went off, the one thing I was always told that if your alarm goes off, it means that the phone didn't ring, which means you didn't get nominated. And that's always been in my mind, but I forgot, completely 100% forgot that I reset my alarm, which is normally set for 6:45, which would have meant that if my alarm is awake, it wakes me up, that means I didn't get a call. I got very depressed. I went, oh my God, it didn't happen. I can't believe a movie of this magnitude, and we were nominated on the previous two installments of Transformers, that it didn't happen. And this was the biggest, probably the best work we've done in this franchise. I went, oh, I can't believe it didn't happen. And I'm kind of mumbling. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. My wife is like, what are you doing? She wakes up and says, what are you doing? And I said, it didn't happen. Can't believe it didn't happen. This is like the biggest movie we've ever done, and it didn't happen. She says, it's only 5:15. And I went, what? I went, what? And she says, you changed your alarm. And I went, oh my God. And it's honest to God truth, I said, I still got a shot. We still got a shot. So then inevitably I couldn't get online, saw my phone, and it was a thrill.
How did you get into re-recording mixing?
Good question. My first career was as a recording engineer. My father's a studio musician. I went to recording studios as a young kid. I always saw the guy behind the panel. I loved that. I thought that was a fascinating, being on that side of the glass, having all of the control of the sound seemed fascinating to me. And I was always into sound. And so I was always playing around with bass and treble on anything that had a bass and treble. My friends were always musicians. I gravitated to that because I lived with a musician. And I was asked if my dad wanted me to play, and it required you to be alone for hours practicing. And I like people. I always have. And it didn't work for me. But my friends being in bands, they always asked, hey, and I was like knobs, so I was always playing around with the PA system. And at the age of 14, 15, I was doing live sound in bands in high school. and then my affiliation with seeing recording engineers through my father, that seemed like something I'd like to do, and took a class with a great recording engineer, Bill Lazarus, and got a job right out of that class at the studio that the class was held at. So that's how my career actually started.
What is the power of sound to you?
The power of sound, well, we're storytellers, for one. You know, the filmmaker is a storyteller. There's a script. There's characters in that script. Sound is a powerful tool, and it is the voice of the film. So, you know, there's amazing things that happen with beautiful music and the emotions that come into play when you've got an amazing score, and as well as a driving score that propels a movie that is, you know, filled with you know, energy and excitement, and that kind of, you know, there's a whole other spectrum of emotion that music can give. But then you have sound effects, and in a movie such as Transformers, you know, you can have these tremendous images of robots and, you know, and crashing through buildings and buildings toppling over, but those images aren't believable at all until you ground it with sound that makes it completely realistic. And sound does that. So sound is that grounding factor that supports the visuals and the story and the character, to help facilitate, you know, that film. And you know, I love it because most filmmakers, and it's one of the things that's really gratifying about the job, is that filmmakers, it takes 2-3 years to get a movie made, from, you know, script and rewrites and pre-production, out shooting, and then, you know, editors and post-production. It's a long, grueling process for a filmmaker. When that director is in our stage and we've got all the sound and we're working, that movie comes alive for that filmmaker, and you can see it on their faces. You can see that all of the work that they've done, everything that they envisioned, is now coming to fruition as a result of the soundtrack. So, you know, Michael Bay, who one of my favorite directors, because he's so passionate about sound. He is and it's critical for him. He states that it's 50% of the experience of his movies, and, you know, from Armageddon and The Rock to Pearl Harbor to The Island to the Bad Boys couple films, and then the 3 Transformer films. It's just all about sound. He loves sound. So, and like that, when I see him enjoying what it is now that we've done, it's very, very exciting. It really is.
How do you lead the audience through storytelling with sound?
Well, it's, again, we've got a script, we've got dialogue. Dialogue is absolutely clear. Clarity to be able to understand all the nuance of what the dialogue track has to offer is very important. There's so many different types of movies that I'd answer that question differently, per se. But the bottom line is, I want the audience to actually just be completely involved in the story. And I don't want film to take away from or take you out of the movie. I want everything to support the film. So, you know, there is a composer that's given us a fantastic score. We have sound design team that have provided wonderful textures and a palette of sounds to work with to you know, to support the film. You know, there's just a number of legitimate. Here's, you know, sound. Like I said, it's so powerful. But, you know, I love every facet of film. There's a lot of a variety of films that are nominated this year. We happen to be the big hardware movie. Moneyball is a much more dialogue-driven film. Hugo has a much more stronger music presence throughout. It's much more lyrical in that telling of that story. So Warhorse is, you know, has got epic kind of war, you know, within it, but it's really this emotional connection between a boy and his horse. So we utilize sound so differently in so many different films that it's but I am very passionate about sound. If you've seen any interviews I've done, my career has been embraced for the sheer fact that I really enjoy this. I love this. It's a process that I'm entrenched in every day. I live it, have been doing it a long, long time. And so it's gratifying to be, a collaborator, because that's what we are. We are really there to facilitate that director's vision sonically and try to bring some cool. I mean, Michael wants it to be cool. He wants his movies to look and sound cool, and wants things to be fresh and new. So yeah, it's a full spectrum of work that's out there now.
What have you learned about yourself being in the business so many years?
I'm very passionate. I have been, not so much what I've learned of myself, but I know that I'm very fortunate because I've had the wonderful good fortune of working with talented people. I was given a great break early on in my career in 1988 from a gentleman who was one of my mentors, and Don Rogers, who hired me to, basically drafted me from the minor leagues to the big leagues, and gave me a great opportunity to be amongst those who I had admired and looked up to that did this type of work. One of the greatest things for me was back when I was doing music. I watched a film that was inspirational to me, and it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I remember going to the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood and sitting in the middle of this big theater, and this movie came on, and I was listening to sounds traveling around the room and flying over your head, and that rolling ball and the low end, I felt it in my chest, and I just thought to myself, this is incredible. I mean, there are mixers that do what I do in music, mixing all of these sounds in this film. And I remember saying to myself, if I ever got the opportunity to do that or got involved in that, that's something that I would really enjoy. That would be a lot of fun. And when I got the opportunity to move into, that was like 1981, I think that movie came out, or 80 or 81. In 83, I had an opportunity to go to a small post-production facility and started to do a little of that, mostly cartoons. The irony to that, in 86, I actually did the Transformer cartoons. But we were doing a lot of small work, television, small low-budget features. And then in 1988, I got a call from Don Rogers to come to Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers is where these gentlemen who mixed that movie were working. And their names were Steve Maslow and Greg Landacre. Bill Varney, who also worked on that movie, had moved to Universal. But I was really excited to go to a place that had all of this amazing talent that I looked up to. And so, all in all, I've been able to learn from really great people. And I am a very astute individual. I will observe someone doing the job in various different forms of the work and really try to say, I really like that. That was really brilliant. And I just absorb like a sponge, just like any young kid, surrounded by an adult who had more experience. All these gentlemen had more experience than I, and I just soaked it up as best I could. And so, what have I learned of myself? I love movies. I love movies. I'm grateful to work in this business. I have a tremendous gratitude to get to do what I love to do, and I earn a decent living at it. I've been fortunate to have collaborated with some of the best filmmakers, from Steven Spielberg and Michael Bay and Philip Noyce, and there's so many amazing directors. Sam Raimi, you see the Spider-Man work up here, and it's it's just a blessing to have the opportunity to collaborate with such amazing filmmakers. So I have a tremendous gratitude I'm honored to be in this business. I'm thrilled that my peers have recognized the work that I've done as frequently as they have for through all these years. And,
Well,
and you know,
and
the
more-
greatest gift that I have is that I do what I love to do. And it's just been an extraordinary, run that I have working with exceptionally talented people. But I still have fun. I look forward to going to work every day. We just started working on a movie, G.I. Joe: The Retaliation, for director John Chow, and it's so exciting. I mean, the movie is really cool. I mean, it's very different than the first one, which I didn't work on, and I'm very excited about it. So it's another project coming out this summer that I think sound-wise is going to be extraordinary. We have some amazing opportunities in the film. But the point is that the enthusiasm that I have going to work every day is really fantastic, and that's the greatest gift. It really is. And I always encourage. I spoke to a class, a production mixer who is a professor now. He actually won the night of my first nomination. Russell Williams, the second, or I believe, he won for the movie Glory, 1989. And he's a professor, and one of the things that I say to the kids is, to do something that you really are passionate about, and that fire is lit. That has never changed for me. In fact, I think it's gotten it's even, I won't say, but it just has not dwindled whatsoever. Every movie has its challenges. Every movie's different. It's just not the same thing. The process is similar as to what we do to create what we do, but every movie has its challenges that are different from the others, and there's personality differences and politics of which studio and producers and whatnot. But all in all, it's just a lot of fun to do.
Well, thank you so much, Greg, and congratulations on your 15th nomination, and good luck with your upcoming projects.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for TTN HD Production Live.